Hey, it's Stacy with Bridges 52.7. Let's take just a second to talk about the DC League of Super Pets. It was cute and I thought it was actually kind of fun. But I think there's a couple of great opportunities. One, just the opportunity for, well, let me back up and say the general storyline is that Superman and Lois Clark are about to get engaged, and Krypto has been Superman's dog and his best friend, and it's just the two of them, right? Like no one else even exists. And all of a sudden, a third person comes into this relationship, and the dog is freaking out because he's feeling like, I've lost my friend, I'm getting booted, like what's going to happen? And he's threatened and he's insecure and all of these things. So I think, especially for families who, this hits on a couple levels, right? Like if you have a kid and you are a single parent and you're starting to date, this is a great opportunity, especially for kids who don't always have language for what they're feeling, to be able to kind of broach the subject and say, like, do you identify with Krypto and his feelings and what have you? So you're a parent, you know how to do this, but but I think there is just an amazing opportunity to help broach that subject in a way that is not threatening and that helps give language and a safe kind of neutral territory to talk about it. So there's that. Also, if you've got, you often have, just situations where the kids are dealing with this at school, they're best friends, suddenly someone new comes into the school and it changes the dynamics. So, this is something that plays out in a million different ways. But working through, how do we deal with our tendency to want one person to satisfy our needs? And then what happens when those dynamics shift and change? And so, you have two different animals in this that are kind of in that same scenario, and one of them handles it really well and one of them handles it really poorly. And it's the villain. So you have this guinea pig who is in a LexCorp lab with Lex Luthor, who has weirdly attached to Lex Luthor and thought, because they're experimenting on the guinea pig, she thinks they're partners in this and that Lex depends on her. And so she becomes the villain looking to gain Lex's approval. And then Lex wants nothing to do with her, and she's totally just devastated because she has no one else in her life, and she has no one helping bring balance to things. She is inappropriately attached, right, to someone who doesn't even recognize her value. He never saw her, he never cared about her. Then you have Krypto and Superman, who does care about his dog. They do have a healthy relationship, but still that bond is maybe it's not necessarily inappropriate, it just isn't sustainable. Like other people came into their circle. So you have this situation playing out in a couple different ways, some healthy, some not so healthy, but in all of them, the animals are having to learn, like, how do I bring in someone else into the story, or how do I deal with my feelings of hurt and rejection? So along with that, as Krypto is wrestling with these feelings, he has someone come along and say, your problem is not your powers. Because he loses his powers, I should explain that. Other animals gain powers and he loses his. There's a whole bunch of power dynamics shifting in this movie. And so there's this idea of identity. And is identity who I am and what I can do, like in the world's eyes, or is it really who I am internally? Is it about my powers, or is it me, myself, my character, my personality? And so as Krypto's kind of wrestling with this, his dad shows up in like a hologram thing and says, the problem isn't your powers, it's you, which is harsh, but it's, a way they can do this in cartoon land in a way that's just comical. So he really has to face, like, what is the issue here? Because I want to say that the problem is that I lost my powers, rather than recognizing the problem is inside of me. And so he begins kind of trying to grow and learn, and then these other pets come and help him. The other thing that was really great, so you've got the idea of relationships and what happens when other people come in feeling threatened. You've got this idea of identity and who are you, and what happens when the external dynamics of your life changes. Does that change who you are internally? So really kind of making a distinction between those external and internal factors that define who you are. And then the third thing was really they take the time to define love. And they're trying to understand in this, one of the dogs, this kind of stray dog, starts saying, like, some of the ways he was hurt because he did the right thing, but he got falsely accused for doing it. And in this way, I would say he's kind of a Jesus Christ figure, because he sacrifices himself for the good of someone that he loved. He is falsely accused, betrayed, and essentially crucified. And ostracized, cast out completely. And yet he says, I would never do it different because I loved this person that I saved. And even though they misunderstood what I did, like I would never change my actions. And so he starts explaining that love means serving the other person and putting their happiness first, even if it means that you hurt yourself, even if it means that you sacrifice, even if it means you let them go. Like, even if it costs you everything, if you truly love that person, you do what's best for them. And this is an opportunity to explain like what is best for somebody is not always giving them what they want either. So they don't really dive into that in the movie, but there's some truth to that, right? But to do what's truly best for somebody, even if it hurts you. And he lived that out. And then you see Krypto later having to make some choices about how to save the people he loves. And not only, and I love this because it's not just he has to save Superman, but he has to make a choice between saving Lois and saving Superman. And he realizes, I need to save the thing that Superman loves, the person that Superman loves, even though that person was a threat to me, that's someone Superman loves. So I need to choose to love them too, for him, for his sake. And I thought that was an excellent message that comes across in the movie. So anyways, really great opportunity to talk about what love means. And again, that idea of laying down your life for someone else, even when it hurts you, is so Christ-like and it was just really well portrayed several times in this movie. And you can do that, and they don't always appreciate what you did. And sometimes just like Jesus, you get totally misunderstood and crucified in the process for it. But Jesus didn't regret what he did just because we didn't all appreciate it, right? And this dog Chip, he doesn't regret what he did because he did it because he loved someone else. So it was the right thing to do for their good, even though it was cost him dearly. So lots of great messages and lots of opportunities to have really good conversations with people in your life, or the kids, or whoever you might be going to the movie with. I mean, it was just a silly little movie, but actually it's some depth to it. So, all right, I'm helping you hopefully through all of this to dig deep, reach wide, and connect life to Christ. Take care.